You want an investment edge, but all you hear is noise, hype, and half-truths. Every signal is solid information, but only if you can see the bigger picture. This is where the Quasar magic happens. Weather, charts, news, all financial signals funneled into a single dashboard. Data alone isn't enough. Quasar Markets turns it into energy, sharp, clear, precise. Optimize with Quasar Markets today. Your edge when investing.
Good morning, Quasar family. Hope everyone had a great weekend. It is Monday, October 13th, and after one of the ugliest Fridays we have seen this year, we've got a little bit of green back on the screen today. Happy Indigenous Day, Columbus Day, whatever you celebrate here. Well, markets are open. Bond market is not, so we'll keep that in mind. While the stock markets are open today, bond market is closed, and the crypto market never closes. What do we have going on? BigBeat will be in. He's finishing up on New York Stock Exchange TV and will be joining us in just a few minutes. So thanks for joining us. Hit the like button, follow button, share it with your friends. Help us meet more retail traders, especially after a weekend like we've seen, or a Friday like we saw, and then the weekend. You know, Steve, we've been talking about it, right? We had said the market was overheated. Steve mentioned he doesn't time the market. You know, he just knows when it doesn't really make sense to him. And it did not make much sense. And we really saw, a hit on Friday. But Wall Street futures are climbing as traders hit the buy the dip button after the president walked back his 100% tariff threat on China over the weekend, saying, quote, "Don't worry about China. It will all be fine." So, man, I don't know what day it is, what he's going to say next. I don't know who does. I saw every meme there was of somebody eating tacos all over the place, but the market certainly took it to heart. Dow Jones is up over 500 points. S&P futures look to open up about 1.3% here, and NASDAQ futures are up 2% in early trading. But before you pop champagne, remember the rebound is happening after we erased $2 trillion on the market cap on Friday. Yeah, that is not a typo. $2 trillion came off the market, vanished faster than your crypto portfolio did. So today's mission is we're going to unpack what caused the meltdown, what's bouncing, what's breaking out, and what is still on fire. Do you see that AVGO is pumping here all of a sudden on news of an open AI partnership? So AVGO taking off here, up about 11.2% here this morning. Good morning, Marilyn. How are you doing? I forgot to turn on the little thing so that your guys' notes come up. Hope you're having a good weekend. Friday's carnage started when Trump threatened to slap China with 100% tariff in retaliation for their rare earth export restrictions. That sort of started all of the downfall, but now he is toning down that tariff talk. We did see the NASDAQ fall 3.5%. Nvidia got smoked, down 4.9%. AMD down 7.7%. Tesla was off 5%. Palantir down 5.4%. You could say the AI revolution suddenly looked more like an AI recession without a doubt. And hey there, Ron. Hope you're having a good day, and hope all of our traders are having a good day today. And just to put that into context, since mid-September, we've seen global equity inflows drop by about 16 billion, while cash funds took in 43 billion. So people slammed the brakes and hit reverse. We heard more and more folks coming out echoing BigBeat's philosophy, right? from, Jamie Dimon to David Solomon to others. It looks like they were practicing what they were preaching, and they pulled money, took advantage of, last week to take profit. And we saw those inflows come right out of the market. And then Sunday night, Trump posted his little digital Hallmark card on Truth Social. Don't worry about China. It will be fine. Highly respected President Z just had a bad moment. A bad moment. My bad, markets. I didn't mean to nuke your 401 funds before Columbus Day, is what I guess he was saying. And then to add on to those bad sort of tweets, did see our Secretary of Treasury mention that if the shutdown, as we've talked about again here, so I'm going to stress it for everybody, if the shutdown hits the 15th, that's when the what starts to hit the fan. And the reason is people won't get paid. Now, I did see the president said that they have figured a way to pay the military. We'll see if that is the case. But it is a big deal. As someone who lived in D.C. for a long time, I can tell you that the city basically closes down during a shutdown. Restaurants, hotels, all of those things get absolutely destroyed. So definitely need to see that come back by the 15th, or as Secretary of Treasury Bessent said, we could see more carnage in the streets. Speaking of carnage, how about the crypto market? It went further, full Chernobyl on Friday. I do see BigBeat is getting ready to enter the room, so this might be a good time to bring him in. I'm sure he's got lots of questions for me. Steve, how are you doing today?
Good morning, Howard. Sorry about that. I was on NYSE TV this morning. Listen, you're absolutely right, carnage in the crypto space, but we've been talking about that for a while, right? Take that profit, stick it away, and prepare. I mean, you and I have been talking about this. We live, and I just talked about this in NYSE TV. I talked about it in Schwab. We never know when Trump's going to tweet. So you know what? Be prepared and take advantage of it, right? So we took advantage of that over the weekend. I bought at 10,500, as most people know in Bitcoin. I
110. You didn't buy at 10,000.
Oh, sorry. 110.5. Sorry, did I say 10,000? 110.5. That'd be nice, huh? All right. I've been happy. No, but when I say 10, I mean 110. You look at the place where it was 122, 123, 124. It was getting up there, right? And I just was reading that Michael Saylor bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin at 123.5. So even he was buying. He didn't stop buying. He's not stopped buying, even though I think he said he was kind of slowing down.
He's out of money. He's out of money right now.
He's out of money. And guess what happens when you're out of money? You're at the breaking point of the market. The market is now your leader. The market is now your God, because you are literally at the mercy of the market. And I don't like being at the mercy of the market. I like being at the mercy of me. That when things do trip, I'm able to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, for sure. I was telling you who did. Your boy Tom Lee, Fundstrat, Bitminer, took very much advantage of it. Bought $500 million in Ethereum, and Ethereum is bouncing back even quicker than Bitcoin. They're all bouncing back though, pretty quickly here. So $20 billion though wiped out in leverage longs over that run. So you always ask, when it's going up, you're always talking about how the shorts just got killed. They got their revenge 9 times bigger than any other liquidation, up or down, in the history of crypto. So this is.
I understood that the guy that did the big short on it, that he's shorted again around 110. Is that correct?
Yeah. There was lots of rumors it was, a family member of the president, which would not have surprised me. But it actually looks like it's the former CEO or founder of I forget. It's either BitGet, one of the old OG exchanges that actually got shut down for fraud. I believe BitGet.
Well, there you go.
He's a China OG. He is one of the OG China guys. So, but you saw it a lot. I saw it across things on Friday where, where institutional players in the crypto game we're taking money off the table to buy a dip. They saw it coming, it seems like. So I don't think it was just that tweet. I think the market was already a little fragile.
Yeah, and they're right. We knew that. We saw it for a while. You and I even got beaten up over the last few weeks because the market kept going up, and not beaten up financially, but beaten up in the media, going, "Oh, the market keeps pushing up. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." Well, guess what? We were right. I'm always brought back to the movie The Big Short. As everybody knows here, I'm friends with Michael Litt, and when you write that thesis, when you think about the markets in general, and you look at the time frames, and you look at cost perspective. Now, when I say cost perspective, that means your own personal costs, right? You bought a stock at a certain price, you shorted a stock at a certain price. That's your cost perspective. So your cost, whatever you bought it, or wherever your entry point is, whether it's an upside or downside, that's your cost perspective. You don't care what anybody else's cost perspective is, because you're not them. Right. So in this case, their cost perspective in 2008 was starting to pick up. Right. It was getting out of hand. And the guy that plays Christian Bale, he what did he do? He put on a set of headphones and played heavy metal music and said, "I don't care. I know where the market's going." And he stuck to his thesis. That's what I mean by thesis here, folks. Cost perspective. They walked away with close to $600 billion. There was crazy amounts of money that, and they didn't care because they understood the markets. That's what I mean. The markets were out of whack over the last few weeks, so they took advantage. I don't like the word they or them. I like to define who they or them is. And in this case, Howard just defined who they was. The former CEO of BitGet, right? The people that have the money to short did because they thought that Trump was going to tweet something bad, and he did. And we know we got to protect ourselves. We have to play the game in front of us. So that is the game in front of us, right, Howard? And when I look at this, I'm seeing it. So when I saw that froth came off, and we know which way the markets are going from bottom left, top right on a chart, it's just time frame and cost perspective. So, when Michael Saylor buys at 123 and it's at 114, he thinks it's going to go higher than 123. So we need to be there. So let's take advantage of that. Now he's out of cash and he's in trouble. So we're in a better position than he is.
He'll raise it. When I say that, I shouldn't.
He'll raise it
because I don't want to say it there, because it always seems that he's able to raise money. He just doesn't have. He spent the funds that he has on hand.
He'll raise it. He's good at raising money, no doubt about that.
Get another couple of billion there. Steve, while the kids in crypto were crying, the old men in the gold pits were partying.
Yeah, we're still partying. If you look at the silver markets, I'm very, very happy. We're going to hit 52. Looks like today. I'm super happy about that. Right. Part of me can't even listen to my own rules right now. I kind of want to sell, but that's exactly right. There are now physical shortages. So what you're playing right now is with paper.
Yeah. So I want to make that clear, because we said this was coming. Again, we called this out, not us, but Peter Thomas.
He did.
We'll give where credit is due. The London market is in backwardation, meaning spot prices are higher than future. That's what happens when you've got a physical shortage and short sellers can't deliver. So this squeeze, he warned you, he told you, he said it's coming. Here it is. 51.66, and just continuing to go to the upside. So, again, if you listen to us, you got into that last Thursday. Now.
Gee, Christmas.
Yeah, 51.66. So, straight to the moon, as my man used to say. Lease rates are spiking, so premiums are through the roof too. So banks are in trouble. And according to the London bullion market, inventories are down 33% since 2021. Bank of America says silver could hit 65 by 2026.
65
for an 11% drop in the industrial demand next year.
Yeah, there's 4,087 now on gold now. We're getting close to that all-time highs now.
Keep in mind that a fun stat, the world's biggest silver ETF now requires 15,415 tons of silver to back out its share. You know how many months of gold global mining output that is?
I have no idea.
7 months.
Oh my God.
So
you're now buying silver in the ground. You're buying gold in the ground. You're not even buying gold in the storages. And people don't know this, but the largest gold vault is not in Fort Knox. It's in New York City. I mean, it's underneath JP Morgan's headquarters, right? And people don't really realize that there's not enough gold to cover this. I mean, Nixon got us off the gold standard. I mean, people complain about that all the time, but there was a reason for it because they didn't have enough gold to be able to make it. And they knew the economy was going to falter if they didn't, right? They need to go to paper. So here we are, and there's not enough physical to cover the paper. And if we get to derivatives of this, there literally is not enough physical to cover derivatives. So they're
to put it into Jimmy Buffett rules, trying to make margarita when you only got one line left. That's what we're at. Demand way exceeds supply. Someone needs to get to the store quick.
Supply and demand. So, I mean, how else explain it?
And we talked about it here. We told you guys that that was the case. It is coming, and it's here. I mean, without a doubt. Steve, staying in that area, rare earths and geopolitical politics, the new Cold War trade.
So what did I say on Thursday and Friday when I was buying? I was buying materials. I thought that was the case. I moved a lot of my money that I had taken off in the international mutual funds that I had my portfolio for long term. I moved a lot of that into cash over the last few weeks, as everybody knows here, preparing for this, whatever it was, the Black Swan event. I don't know if you call that a Black Swan event when Trump tweets, but I moved into materials. I moved into the materials, and I think it was a smart move here. I still think it's a smart move. Why? Because miners, that's exactly right. What's happening here, right? So you just said it. There's not enough gold and silver to even cover, right? What are the miners going to mine? Are they going to mine gold? Are they going to mine silver? They're going to mine borium. They're going to mine tungsten. They're going to mine materials. So what are they going to? They're going to try to get whatever they can out of the ground as fast as they get out of the ground. Material companies will do very well. So that's why my thesis was I like materials right now, because I think that there's going to be this massive move. And in this massive move, you're going to see companies like John Deere and Bucyrus, which is no longer traded on exchanges. But Bucyrus has these big machines that dig as fast as they can. That's right, Steve Flanagan. It's rare earth mining in the United States. I think it's going to be huge. If Trump is doing this where he does not want to be beholden to China, then we got to get it here in the United States. Now, we don't have nearly as much rare earths as China does. We know that they have it. We need molybdenum. We need lithium. We need those kind of things. So, yeah, I think that this is where it's at. And I'm still moving into materials. I'm still buying material companies. I think that's where it's going to be. And I don't own any China stocks. I don't have a single one of them. So, look at you. Yeah, all right. How I love it. Yeah, I think that's right. And this morning you heard the Department of Defense is now going to start stockpiling some of this stuff. There are a few places where they stockpile it. One is in Nevada. It's a major place where they stockpile it. I wonder why area what. But you look at another area, and that's Colorado. So you look at these kind of areas. Why? Because there are mountains there. Why? Because that's where they're at. You know, and a lot of people don't understand this. But as we look, as these miners are mining, let's say they're mining copper, because copper is another one, right? Copper prices are going to the roof. Guess what? They got to mine copper. Wherever you have a copper mine, you have a gold mine. Now, there's a separation of how much copper is in a gold mine, so we don't always know. They don't always know that, right? But we know that they're mining with scoops and shovels, like a kid in a sandbox. Right, they're going to go in there with machines that can pull up the whole mountain, and they're going to rip it up, and they're going to destroy that. So I think you're going to see public lands start to go back into the hands of the government in a way that will allow businesses to be able to go in there. So keep your eye on companies that are making plays with the U.S. government to be able to dig in, unfortunately, parks and land that's covered by the United States. So keep your eye on those areas, and I think that's what the companies that I would be very interested in. The companies that are quote close to the president might be doing very well here. And if you ask me which companies, I mean, there's a lot of them right here. But yeah, MP would be a good one actually, I think. But I'm moving into the materials sector last week.
Absolutely. Earnings season is getting ready to kick off here, Steve. Big banks are up first. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo will report pre-market tomorrow. Anyone you're interested in there? What do you think? I've been watching the talking heads. They all seem to think that they are going to beat estimates. In fact, I heard a couple of folks go on and say that their their funds or the companies they work for, estimates are about 3 to 4% above the market.
When you play the limbo and you lower the bar so far, we can just step over the bar. That's what's happening right now. Earnings companies S&P have lowered the bar on these banks so low that it shouldn't be too hard to beat the earnings, right? The question is not going to be about earnings. It's not been about earnings on any other company, any other sector. It's about guidance. What's the future, right? So when I look at the future on banks, I don't see a very bright future for a lot of banks. The words I've been hearing, I've been talking to a lot of people over the last few weeks, is that the amount of real estate on their balance sheets very high. And listen, when you're trying to refinance major buildings, they don't have it. I heard the word 4 times last weekend, insolvency of some of these banks. If these companies start to, and I should say companies, I mean, I'm talking about companies that are in the real estate business. If they don't get their refis, that's a problem. That's a massive problem. So, yeah.
I mean, JP Morgan doesn't agree with you. They just made a $10 billion security play here today that Jamie Dimon announced. So, in his view, there's definitely money to be spent here. National security meets the capital markets. They're going to put that money in, and they're going to invest in defense, AI, supply chain for the next super cycle. So,
I'm sorry. What else have we been talking about, Howard? Defense? Quantum computing, AI, all the things that we were told that, well, that's not hot. What's hot is these stocks. No, this is exactly what the rotation is going into. We are ahead of the game. That's what Quasar Markets is about, is understanding the thesis before it actually happens. We want to be on the forefront of this, and here we are. Yeah, JP Morgan's a good example of that. They know what's going on. They are now pledging, put that up there for Flanagan, pledging $1.5 trillion over the next decade. They're absolutely right. That's not billions. This is trillions. 1.5. This is $1,500 billion. That's a lot of money. Wow. And if I look at it, let's talk about Jamie Dimon for a second. Jamie Dimon has so many things that he's talking about, right? He says, look, let's talk about what he said 5 years ago. If anybody is actually buying crypto, I'm going to fire them in my company. 4 minutes later, his daughter comes on and says, Dad, I actually own Bitcoin. All right. He realized at that moment that he might not be on the forefront anymore. So Jamie Dimon goes out and he hires a whole bunch of crypto people saying, well, we're still not going to buy crypto. We're still not going to be in crypto, building the crypto empire out. JP Morgan now has ETFs. JP Morgan now has all of this stuff. Why? Because it's their own coin of this. So don't listen to what he's saying. Listen to what he's doing. That's what I'm saying to people. Don't just go, oh, well, Jamie Dimon said this. Jamie Dimon doesn't care what you think. He cares about JP Morgan. So, and I agree with him. Don't give out the key to the bank. So he's saying, I'm going to move money into these sectors. And he's right. Defense, and especially in the next 3 years, Trump is the president. I mean, you're going to see defense stocks. So yeah, I agree with JP Morgan on this. Now, when I talk about the banks, I'm not talking about the banks in regards to banking itself, not where you take your money, you get a 3% and you take your money out, you go back to them begging them for a mortgage. I'm talking about trading banks that are making moves in the banks, right? That like JP Morgan, that are in the currency space, like Steve Flanagan, who we'll have on a little bit later, or in the space of like trading revenue. Those banks are going to do fantastic. They're going to make an M&A, and we talk about M&A for a long time. But it's these banks regional banks that won't do well. And I said this on Schwab just last week. I said, look for M&A in the regional banks. These banks are going to have to come together. They're going to have to find trading. They're going to companies like us. They're going to have all of this ready to go. Hey, we're here. So that's what I'm saying. When I say banks, I'm talking about regional banks, or Fifth Thirds of the world, banks that you go to and you put your money in and you hope for. Maybe possibly even the Wells Fargo may be in trouble this time around because of all the REITs they own. They could be in definite trouble here. But no, the Goldman Sachs and JP Morgans, they're going to do very well in this next go around here.
Yeah, and that 1.5 trillion is a 50% increase from their already committed $1 trillion. So a nice move up, $500 billion, nothing to shake a stick at for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of earnings already. Fastenal misses their earnings. Talks about an industrial slowdown. EPS came in at 29 cents, just below there, and they are trading down about 5% in the pre-market here. One of the few laggards down about 5.2% now.
And why? That's exactly right. Why are the industrials down? I'll tell you why. Because they're moving everything into digging on the ground. They're not going to be making it. They got to go pull it up out of the ground. The same people, the blue collars will be actually they'll be lined up to go work at these mining companies. I think you're going to see just massive hiring in the mining companies as they go to get mining the copper, the lithium, all things we've been talking about. I think you're going to see a huge influx. And I'll tell you how you can tell. Look at the movements in rentals in Colorado, look at the rentals in Utah, look at the rentals in Nevada, and you'll know exactly where they're going. If the blue collar picking up and leaving the normal Illinois and the Californias, that are the industrial states, and they start to move to those states that have actual mining, look out for North Dakota, South Dakota. You could see even more in the fracking area right there too, as well as oil prices 59.21 right now in WTI. Brent in the North Sea, people, they're lining up in London to go out on the North Sea whales out in the water, right? That's what I'm talking about right now. I think you're going to see a massive shift. And I think the president might be actually on the forefront of this if we can get manufacturing to move from where they're at now. No more people being on TV, no more social influencers. Those social influencers are going to be digging for copper. So that's great right now.
Yeah, I guess so. We are about 1 minute from the open here. Tick is pretty neutral. Advanced decline is up 3,500. So animal spirits in the wind today. Does look like the markets want to take off. Will it just be a profit-taking day, or do we see a continuation of the upside?
Tesla's been an easy winner for us. I've been making serious cash on Tesla the last few weeks for everybody here. 423.65 now, up 2.5%. I'm not touching Tesla this morning. I might, but I'm not touching it right now. I want to keep there. We're open now. Looks like AMD up 2.7%. Looks like the markets are fairly up, but I think there could be some profit. There it goes. Yep. Shoot, maybe I should be selling Tesla here. It's 422.72 here. Yeah, looks like there's some selling here.
Yeah, not surprising here. First move on the Q is to the upside, though. Q's moving back up here. Trying to regain VWAP, trading at 599.83. Dow Jones opens up 85 basis points to the upside here. Advanced decline, like I said, now 46.66 to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on that. Steve Flanagan will be
Bitcoin at 115 here, Howard.
What's that?
Bitcoin's back to 115.
Like I said, it was going to be a question to see what you saw on IBIT. So this is a good sign. That's what I want.
There goes Tesla right there. There goes Tesla to the upside. 425 now on Tesla. $426.40 now, and I am now short on Tesla now. 426. Looks like I'm in at and I am short Tesla here. I'm going to short some more Tesla, I think, here.
Okay. Tesla up 3%, 425.90 right now. I'm showing on mine. NVIDIA up 3.18% here. USAR, US Rare Earth up 19.14. So after a little bit of profit taking, is moving back to the upside here.
30s.
Bitfarms, the crypto mining company, up about 12.7% here.
Okay, I am. Ooh, okay, here we go. There we go with Tesla, baby. There we go. Looking to buy it back here pretty soon here. And let it run a little bit here. To the downside.
Bitcoin nicely back up 115,600 here. So moving back to the upside, we get a little bit of a squeeze to the up.
Qs are still dropping here. There we go. Come on, Tesla. Keep on dropping.
Netflix down about 63 basis points here so far. Best Buy up 5.71%, moving to the upside here.
Mm-hmm.
Costco getting hit a little bit here, 927.
And I just took my profit there on Tesla there. Howard. Yep, nice move. The Qs are still dropping here. Might have been a little too early, but I like not taking that profit and running, right? Yeah. Thanks, Steve Flanagan. Boeing says their partnership's using a new standard for parts authentication. I wonder how they're doing that. Maybe it could be blockchain. I mean, this is a good stuff. I like this.
Airbus opened up a new plant this morning in the US.
There goes the drop. There goes the drop in Tesla. A little too early, but it's okay. I took some profit there. Oh, look at that drop now. Oh,
everything coming off highs of the morning. Nvidia now up 2.6%, had been up as high as 189.25, now down at 187.98. So we do see a little bit of profit taking here across the board.
$421.8. Oh my goodness gracious! I definitely got out just a little bit too soon there. Oof! But I was right. So. Oh, look at that. 420.70 now. Oh, my goodness.
Small caps leading the way today, up 1.93% is the Russell 2000. And we see advanced decline now just broke above 5,000. Gap to up again, nicely moving to the upside here.
Could look at Tesla here on this bottom. This bottom dropped on the 1 minute linear regression here. USO now up 7. And I talked about this last week. I thought that oil was too cheap. I thought that oil could be the big play this week, and I still think it is. I think oil will start to come back up a little bit. We're seeing tick now, only up 70 now. Oh, as Tesla continues to sell off, Qs are still dropping here on the backs of this. I mean, I think until Trump and Xi have a chat, then I don't think anybody. I think this market's still wonky here. I still don't think there's much here yet. But I you know what? I might still be looking to add to my materials here as we see this market slipping even more here.
Right.
Palantir is flat on the day here. Domino's Pizza up a couple bucks here. I mean, that's when you know the world's going to hell in a handbasket, right? When people start ordering Domino's Pizza. Firefly, oh my, back at 28. There you go. AI up 2.3. There you go. There goes Tesla back to the upside. I had a feeling that was probably where it was at.
JP Morgan, the bank's having a nice day, up 2.42. Again, they will announce earnings tomorrow before the open. Bank of America up 1 percentage point. Wells Fargo 1.47. Goldman Sachs up over 2%. Also here, chip sector widely in the green today. AVGO pulling back. They were up 12% on their announced deal with OpenAI, but now moving back to the downside.
At this point, who doesn't have a deal with OpenAI?
Yeah.
I've been with Sam since the beginning of all of this. I the guy is very smart. And I think he's going to rule the world. I think he's going to be probably pass up Elon Musk at some point.
Don't tell Elon that.
I don't care what Elon thinks. I'm looking at my international value mutual funds and I'm going, you know what? I'm glad I sold a lot of that stuff off, right? I mean, that's where it was. And, some of them are up 55%. I've got one that's up 61%, right? One international stocks up 50.3%. Why? That's what I'm talking about. Like, take some profit off, move it around. And I'm going to continue to buy more materials here. I think that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to buy even more today. So VMIAX, that is the mutual fund that I am buying. I tell everybody here what I buy. I don't hide it. And I'm buying more here today. VMIAX. Not everybody can buy that. I understand that. But that's what I am. That's what I am. I'll put it in the system here for you guys. So you can see what I have actually.
Las Vegas Sands down about 5% here. One of the early morning laggards.
Vegas is not doing well. People are not traveling. I've talked about that this morning on New York Stock Exchange TV. I was like, look, here's the key. You want to know how people are doing? Are they traveling? And the travel industry has been around one thing. It's been around the travel for vacationing, cruising, and all that to get to their ports. And they aren't doing that right now. Right now, they're sitting at home. And the business travel is still down about between 15 to 25% since COVID level. And look at what's happened. Look at Tesla right now, 420, 405. Could see that could be the end of that run there. Man, Tesla's been a great traveler. 51.65 still on silver here now. Dollar index, Dixie now 99.22. You got to give serious props to Steve Flanagan here, who told you around 97.5. He is done. He has said, we're going higher. This is where it's at. And he was very adamant about it. And a lot of us took advantage of that. As most people know, I'm going to Japan, so Tokyo. And so, look, I like it. 152 now on the yen, the dollar. And I'm happy about that. So, hey, that's a lot of sushi and a lot of sake that I can sake bombs, right? We're hearing reports now that Witkoff and Kushner did meet directly with Hamas leaders last week to seal the deal, according to the envoy. Right now, Hamas officials Khalil al-Khalai and Sharm el-Sheikh now says with Trump's approval, told him that hostages were more of a liability than an asset. I think the question back then was Trump threatened to blow them up with nuclear weapons, pretty much, and I think they didn't want to be blown up out of bits for nothing. And you know what? I don't know about you, Howard, but if this is the case that Trump, Trump is creating peace. Yes, the hostage release. Thank God for that. He might get the Nobel Peace Prize, and I wouldn't be against it.
They'll never give it to him. Seeing that Melco Resort. So maybe there's some issues in China because I'm seeing Melco down, one of the largest resorts in China. They're down along with Wynn and LVS. So all three of them getting hit here. Since Melco's involved in that, I would have to assume it has something to do with what's going on in Macau. Yeah,
of course. And nobody wants to go to China to go gamble. And if they're not going to Vegas, they're not going to China, right? So I'll tell you, I've always looked forward to going to the Melco resorts around the world. They're not just in China. There's some in Singapore too. But I'm not the biggest. I'm not a gambler. It's not my thing, really. I mean, I like to go every once in a while and go to Vegas and see the shows, and go to the casino and roll some dice a little bit every once in a while on the cruise ship sometimes. But it's not my thing. And when you look at the gaming revenue right now, it's way down. People don't feel like they have extra cash to do that. And the big money right now in Vegas is overseas money, right? As the dollar has been cheap to fly over here, cheap to all that stuff. We've been watching. Volatility is still there. I don't see that as an area right now. I'm keeping my eye on the VIX. The VXX now down 6% here. You know what? We could also probably keep our eye on the VIX again. If Trump tweets one more time, he already knows what the world market does when he tweets. So there is some volatility. Tick now down. Oh my God, tick down 200 here. Moved 800 points here. Oof.
Yep, advanced decline back below 5,000 at 48.11 so far. Dow Jones is up 89 basis points, SPY up 1.1, the Q's up 1.43, and the run up.
Silver an all-time high, 51.75 there, Howard. I'm looking at my silver pile on my desk right now. Going, maybe I should go down to the local gold and silver dealer. Say, hey, man, take my gold and silver from me.
Yeah, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. We talked about it. 3.2% here to the upside.
Apple up another 1.68 here and 246.90. I like that. I said that this morning that I think Apple products, I mean, as you all know, I've all got Apple products now. I've got the new iPhone and a watch, and I've got an iPad and a Vision Pro, and I'm stuck here with all this Apple stuff. You know what? I like the ecosystem now, Howard. I can't believe I'm saying that live on the air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think that the iOS, the new one here with liquid glass, has really turned the corner a bit. Where I looked at, I have both phones in front of me, right? I've got the the Googles, or I got the Samsungs with Android, and I've got the iPhone here. And I looked at the Android, and I go, wow, the look and feel of the Android just isn't quite there anymore, right? I think iOS has done the game here, so I'm okay with it.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed. I don't know what to say. You've we've told you for years. You came.
No. I think I was right for years. I just think that Apple's caught up. I think, but let's talk about that. Apple is not caught up with AI.
True.
Okay.
I don't use my phone for AI.
You don't use ChatGPT on your phone?
I mean, I have it, but not really. I do that stuff on my computer.
That's very smart, yeah, because your computer can merge it faster than the phone can.
Yeah, your phone gets a very limited version, as you know.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know, Howard. I'm just kind of sitting here. Boeing now up 1.4% here. Yeah, Market Shark's right. No upgrade to Siri yet. Although I just saw this just 2 seconds ago, where the new iOS possibly could have a new Siri upgrade. Look, I know that they partnered with Priority AI, some company, a prompt AI, right? That they're trying to they're buying an AI company. So that's interesting to me. I like that. I like that a lot. Yes, they're totally lagging on AI. I think I made that very clear. They're lagging, but I have ChatGPT and Perplexity. I have 24 AIs on my phone. So Sora and Suno, I got them all on there. I'm a nerd, as everybody knows. But I think that if Apple gets smart, and I got a good friend, Nick Gentile, lives in New York City, and he's a big Apple fan. And he's told me for years, like, Steve, look, Apple does one thing very well, and that's copy everybody else and make it better. And I agree with that. They're never on the forefront. They're never cutting edge, shall we say? And that's okay. They don't have to be. It's got to be, how's it look? How's it make it feel? And I'll tell you, when I'm at events and I want to give somebody my phone number, my info, and being able to put the phones together is kind of cool. I like that. It makes it easier for me, right? I know that they've got my contact and it's not out there in the whole world, and I'm okay with that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan. Always have been. A good product. They last. That's where I think they've always been better than Androids. Androids always have been a little bit more clinky, in my opinion. But
there we go. 5180 now on XAG.
SPY up 1.15, Q's 1.55 also. So sort of stabilizing, it looks like. Volatility has not been off the wall like you might have thought here. We've seen some profit taking, not surprised, but people still seem to be interested. It's holding up. Chinese names moving up today. I wouldn't be trusting that one. Alibaba up 4.59% so far. Baidu up 2.66.
Right.
I haven't not buying that one yet. JD up 3.11. PDD up 2.58. If you're looking for something to fade first, I'd be looking at the Chinese names. And Netflix trying to go positive here, so all of the Mag 7 would be positive. There we go. Nope, not exactly. Trying, but it is trying here.
Intel's up 1% again today.
What was that?
Intel's up 1% here. I mean, NVIDIA up 3% today, and that was pretty obvious to me.
Google up 2%, Amazon 1.24. We should start to hear some talk about how their Amazon days went
Man,
there. They just ended.
Bitcoin 114.8 again. Wow, that's just it's just nutty. How I mean, we were at 115.3 now to that's 500 points in just minutes now. I mean, it's just
We
the
were at
volatility.
115,650.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what volatility is for sure today, and you're going to
Yeah.
see it throughout the day.
And what's driving this volatility today in crypto? Is it just the China thing with Trump?
No, I mean, no, it's just more volatile because futures people just got wrecked. They're either going back, their open interest picking back up. So, folks, everyone's going to either buy the dip or fade the dip, but they'll be playing one of the two sides there on crypto all day. So, you'll just see volatility.
Yep.
WTI at 58.93, lows of the day here, going back down to the downside a little bit here. US rare earth back up 23.55. So after taking a little bit of profit taking there, moving back towards highs of the day. Same thing, TMC, the metal company, up 20.33. Do have an energy company, Fluence. Don't know all that much about them. They are up 21% today. I didn't see anything that would have them up that much. And again, more of the Chinese names, We Ride, BZ, HSAI, all up about 5 or 6% today. Western Digital, nice climb up 1.5%. And again, another Chinese name, Futu, FUTU, up 6.08%. Another Chinese name, GDS, up 6.87. So again, a lot of the Chinese names are up pretty big today. QUBT, if you listened to me and bought the dip after its offering the other day, back up 7% today. Oh, and squeeze into the upside here. QUBT.
Gold may push here. 40.92. We may hit 4,100 right here.
It's trying, like we said, 5,000 by the end of next year is Goldman's call, without a doubt.
Yep. Oh, there it goes. There he goes. Okay, Bitcoin, I see you. Tick up 430 now.
Chip sector still leading the way here. Most of them up very nicely. AVGO 9%, TSM 5% here. AMAT Applied Materials up 4.29, Micron up 4.85. So we see that. Monolithic Power up 6.92 also. So a lot of the chips names moving to the upside still. Same thing, JP Morgan 308.51 trying to break to the upside.
51.90, 51.84 now on silver, all-time highs now. Wow, wow, wow.
Silver keeps going, baby. Bitcoin back above 115.
Yes, it is. I think we could push higher here. $115.1 now.
Ticks up another 300 here. Advanced decline up 48.73. So climbing back towards 5,000. Dow Jones is up 95 basis points so far here. SPY up 1.38%. Q's bouncing back to the highs also. So now we do see people trying to make a move to the upside here for sure. Steve had to step away for 1 second, and he'll be right back. Advanced decline does look like it wants to climb back up above 5,000 here. So as we get closer to the top of the hour, we are seeing a continued buy in here. So the buy the dip buyer seems to be coming in. Markets seem like they want to move to the upside. Bitcoin back above 115 here nicely. WTI moving up, trying to challenge 60 here today, maybe. 59.60 looks like the key spot to watch there. Mag 7, we are seeing all of them to the upside, being led by NVIDIA, now up 3.3%. Tesla up 2.56%. And if we look at sectors of the S&P, we do see that the XLP, which is the consumer staples, down slightly here, 22 basis points. The only one in the laggard red here. Biggest leader on the day, XLK, which is technology, followed them by consumer discretionary, 1.3%. And the material sector, Steve mentioned earlier, up 1.43% here today. And USAR, USA Rare Earth, moving back to the upside here, trying to challenge. Its 52-week high is 41.98 here, now at 41.20, trying to move back to highs of the day. Same thing, Bitcoin mining company, data center company, BITF, Bitfarms, up 13.3%. One of the early morning gainers that's giving back that profit so far, DGNX, Diginex blockchain company involved in the ESG sector. They are getting hit here to the downside. I do see Mr. Flanagan has joined us. We'll bring him in and see what he has to say today. Mr. Flanagan, how are you doing today, sir?
Good morning, Howard. What a weekend. Love all the news pouring out after Friday's tumultuous drop, but all going good. And I just wanted to point out, let's start off with China. And while the headline talks about the positives of their numbers, the trade surplus in China narrowed from an expected 98 billion down to 90 and a half. So while exports and imports were both up, this is a very positive number when you look at the picture of the world and what everything's trying to accomplish. Second up, Japan, the LDP party coalition with Komeda party fell apart. And now this puts a little bit in doubt Takaichi, the first female prime minister that's been proposed. She'll be voted on later in the month, puts it into uncertainty. Now, she's very much in favor of a government, Bank of Japan kind of a coalition there. So that's an interesting one to watch. France, wow. You talk about Albert Einstein and the definition of insanity. doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, Macron has put back the same prime minister that got tossed out and resigned, and they put him back. And now he's got to come up with a new revised budget. But we don't stop there. JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon stepping up, and $1.5 trillion to U.S. security industries, which is incredible. Why? Because it provides the financing that what we've been talking about.
1.5 trillion is the amount they're going to lend out over the next 10 years to everybody in the world. $10 billion is what they're going to give to those security initiative. They had already committed 1 trillion of that previously. This was a 50% increase on that top line number.
That's right. But if you read into that, his talk, he specifically talks about United States and how we have fallen by in key critical industries. So that's a big move on Jamie Dimon's part. And I heard you guys talking about it already, and I think you nailed it. But my last point is Hamas and Israel. All of a sudden, peace in the world is really starting to reverberate. Now we just got to work on Russia and the Ukraine. What I'm trying to suggest here is, with all the disturbance in the overseas market, we didn't even talk about, the whole European situation, but with peace, and the U.S. is perfectly situated to take full advantage of this capital swing that I think is beginning to happen. And that's evidence. Look at the dollar index beginning to break.
Absolutely. Moving to the upside nicely here. I'll bring up the charts for us. There you go, Steve, at 99,207 here this morning, moving a little bit of profit taking, it looks like, since the cash opened, so to speak. But nice move to the upside here, without a doubt.
Prevailing logic is you're going to sell this dollar on this bounce. So right now, you still have a new low that was put in at 96.22 on September 17th. So you must break 126 on this up move to really say the dollar index has turned. Until we get through that level, you're going to see a lot of the market beginning to say, I still want to sell the rally here, based on this entire year comments and narrative that's been in the market. I do believe we will break. The first move up will probably flub, but I do look to buy that dip. I am long the dollar, and I am targeting a 102 level in the dollar index.
That's a lot of sushi and sake, my man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, Steve, you've got the coalition government now breaking down. So now you've got political uncertainty in Japan, and that's probably going to fuel this dollar yen move. You've got a high of 153.27 in place. 150.90 is our support point, but I think you got to be looking to target here 155 before all is said and done and the new election happens later in October.
Okay, let's talk about, Steve, the dollar strong coming into this. Is it because of Israel, Hamas? Is it because the president threatening nuclear war on just about everybody? He just threatened to Russia again, saying that the Tomahawk missiles sitting in. I mean, that's a massive missile. For those of you who don't know, they have MIRVs on them. They have the ability to top those warheads with just about anything. That's a serious provocation against Mr. Putin, who quote Trump said he was his friend. He knew how to control Putin. He knew how to handle Putin. Is this how you handle Putin? Is by threatening with nuclear war?
Well, he is the former KGB head, so clearly, you've got to, the gloves got to be off, and you've got to get in. If you're going to get in there, you got to get into a street fight, and clearly, the Tomahawk missiles put a whole new element on this war. Yeah, it has the potential to escalate, but I also think, given the recent incredible amounts of bombing that's been done to ruin the energy industry of the Ukraine by Russia, I think Russia probably right now is poised to step back and to allow this to happen. Remember, in a peace deal, everyone benefits.
Yes, I agree. I don't think anybody benefits except in war, except for LMT and Raytheon and the big defense companies. I mean, speaking from the financial side of it, but my God, nobody in peace is the only time when people actually can prosper, right? I mean, seriously.
That's correct. And it's about time Russia is clearly looking at its economy and is clearly beginning to say, hey, I've got to spread some prosperity down and out here, not to mention, how much of an entire generation of a population, male population and female population, have been wiped out due to this war. So I do think it's an era that we're ushering in right now. And I think the beginning is Israel-Hamas. We talked about the correlations the last time we were on. And the one thing that I really was concerned about was if the dollar index began to make a sharp move, the corresponding effects to metals, crypto, and equities. And that's exactly what that tweet did on Friday. It set off a chain reaction where computer models, without even thinking, have to react to the correlation. Dollar starts trading up. They must then take profit in crypto, metals, and in equities. So in order for this kind of stability to stay in place, watching the equity market bounce back here, you need watch the dollar index, because if it is a slow move, which I believe from here it will be, in the absence of a tweet,
okay,
then I think you've got a good condition here. But I don't want to see this dollar index move in a sharp fashion.
How do you play it when Trump's unhinged with his tweets? How do you play it? I mean, he goes from tweeting on Friday that, China and us are not friends, and to literally hours later that, oh, don't worry about China, we'll work it out. How do you play that? I mean, I know that I was pulling money off all week and then bought money in, but I did not play it based on Trump's tweets. I played it on the fact that the market was too high for me, right? How do you play this?
So last Wednesday, because what I do is every weekend I have to have a defensive position. My job in my career has been a risk manager.
Right.
So around Wednesday of last week, I started to buy UVXY, which is a volatility index. And I also put on an SQQ play, just as a defensive. Okay, did I know this was coming on Friday? Absolutely not.
Right.
But this is one of those things that can come out from any time. So you've got to have a defensive position.
And we're not being lucky about it. You're just being smart about it.
And you're going to most of the time throw money away. But guess what? That's a good way to throw money. If you've got the potential to make a 10% move in the equity market, is it okay to risk a little bit of that and just say, if a tweet comes out?
Not just okay, it's what you need to do. Please be listening to Mr. Flanagan here, everybody. And Steve.
UVXY on Friday was up 19%. And guess what? I actually sold some of it in the face of that news, just to say, you're giving me 19% on a day. You know what? When the market gets irrational and anything over a 15% move in a day in a major index, you've got to acknowledge it and take something back and say, look, you're giving me money. And that's the way you lock and load. Make it, keep it is the big thing I always try to teach in the marketplace.
Yeah. And Steve, I mean, Howard, I've been talking this morning, like how I've been moving my money over the last few weeks. I've been pulling money out of the market. Every pop, I've been taking a little bit off. I scale in, I scale out. I never go full boat, as everybody knows that. I mean, if you do anything, just go full boat. That's just nonsense. I moved money into materials. That's where I've been moving money into. So while I wasn't sure exactly how that was going to happen, my thesis was that, if we have a problem with China, materials in the United States are going to go up. Now they are, and I've added to my position again this morning, my mutual funds in the material sector. Is it that bad? I mean, are we making? Am I making a bad move here by moving my money? I mean, because materials aren't normally a sector that I move into. But if this confusion with China is a problem with rare earths, it could be a big problem here.
Keeping in mind the magnitude of the advantage China has in rare earths, I believe they're over 75% of the world's rare earths that they can sell to the world. So the move that China made last week, I heard you guys talking about the crypto player. Yeah, I mean, did it make sense? Well, of course. China simply imposed those rules on rare earth. The United States was going to respond, and I wish he didn't wait till a Friday to make his response. But Steve, is it?
Yeah, you don't like Fridays for that? Yeah. And I will point out that gentleman did that short leading into when futures closed for the weekend here in the U.S.
I don't think
it was also done at a timely area.
Very timely. But Steve, is it a risk? Yeah, of course it is, Steve. But there's two sides to this. One, and I pointed out, JP Morgan is now talking, now Howard corrected me, it is money, 1.5 trillion, 10 years, that goes out to the world. However, if you read Jamie Dimon, he specifically said how United States has fallen behind in critical industries.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that the government is going to be investing into these companies, and now you're seeing it isn't, it wouldn't take much, and now it's coming, is the biggest banks are going to follow. Just watch it to continue.
So that's
because
huge.
We have to do them, and you guys keep leaving out Alaska. Alaska is where most of this is going to happen.
And Steve, this is huge to your position. Absolutely, it's great. Where is your risk? Your risk is that before November 1st, United States and China handshake on rare earths, and then the impetus or the take profit begins to come into that market. So you love to scale in. The time to scale in then is going to be if we get an agreement with China, expect profit taking in the domestic rare earths, but you've got to step back in because this is
Trump has threatened Hamas with nuclear war. They back down. Trump has threatened Russia with Tomahawk missiles. They back down. What's Trump going to threaten China with?
Well, I think you saw that on Friday.
Oh, now we're going to be friends with China all of a sudden?
No, he's saying tariffs.
Well, okay. It's very, I've been having this conversation for the last 72 hours. Understand where all of these moves in China came from. They came from a committee member. They did not come from President Xi. President Xi is a very smart.
He didn't back down from the comment.
He's a tactful man, and he allows the ministries to go out, the committees, and they go out, and then he can step in and say, boom, President Trump and I have agreed, and it can kind of smooth it out.
So you think that I think his name is Li Jing, is that right? I think his name is this a situation where Xi Jinping is floating a trial balloon and saying, okay, let's see where Trump's thoughts are on this?
Well, it's a negotiating tool. They're in negotiations for since April, and they're at the table, and we keep hearing positive news keeps coming because they keep agreeing to sit and meet further.
But Trump said, no, don't worry about China. We'll work out a deal. The markets popped today.
Yeah. And Trump is basically, I'm sure Scott Bessent went in there and said, maybe we could make these moves on a Wednesday.
Can we at least talk about this before you make a tweet on Truth
also
Social?
Pointing out that if the shutdown goes to the 15th, that it's a major deal. He was the one that pointed that out today in a couple of different interviews on Fox.
That's right. So, I do believe, Steve, that it will. But this is the risk in today's market. And how it is said for many times, your tweet, you've got to be ready for the tweet.
Let's talk about that. I have survived and lived through it. So has Howard Greenberg, has lived through several shutdowns through the 90s. It was not fun. I remember the Clinton administration where Newt Gingrich shut us down. And they, obviously the Republicans lost the House and Senate two years later because of it. Political implications of this is pretty strong. I mean, this morning I talked about it on NYSE TV. I said, look, it's okay for a few days if you're trying to get something out of each other. But it's not good when you start playing with people's lives, right? And it's beyond now at some point when they don't get their payment. Now you're talking about other companies, right? Amazon's not going to get they're not going to be buying things. People aren't going to be moving around the country. They're not going to be vacationing. They're going to be nervous. This could get really bad. And we know the longest one in history, I think, was 35 days. I lived through that one. It sucked. There's a lot of drinking at Tune In, I believe, Howard, if I'm not mistaken. Not down the
most of DC put on furlough specials, and people laugh at it.
Dollar beers was fun.
They don't. Those businesses go out of business. They got to do something to.
So what happens here if we don't get a deal? The Republicans they're digging their heels in. Chuck Schumer is digging his heels in. We could have, and neither one of them are coming to the table here.
Well, I hate to bring politics into finance.
That's why we're here.
But if you look at, I watched Hakeem Jeffries over the weekend, and I keep hearing that the Congress has already passed the bill to keep the government open. Why won't the Senate just get on board? And he kept talking medical, and he kept talking this. But that's December 31st. Why don't we get the government open? You've already had Marjorie Taylor Greene come out, right, and say we gotta get this right for the American people.
Something's wrong when MTG she's getting upset about the world.
That's right. So I mean, you've got a point here where I'll take a political point here, but the Democrats are really painting themselves in. It seems on every 80-20 issue. I don't understand why they defend the 20. It just doesn't make sense to me. Keep the government open and negotiate.
Yeah, we know what 80-20 means. Can you explain 80-20 to people?
Well, when they go out throughout America and do most of these, polls, 80% of America says, yeah, let's keep the government open. But then the 20% says, no, close it down. And it seems like right now the Democrats have dug their heels in on something that doesn't expire until December, and there are ongoing negotiations with it, but yet they want to say, no, we're going to close the government, and you have to negotiate it now, and you have to give us.
Trump plans to bring Zelensky into D.C. on Friday.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. For those of you if you're keeping your eye on this news here, that could be very positive in the markets here.
Look, peace permeating throughout the world with Hamas and Israel. You need to understand the historical implication of not just Israel and Hamas. This goes to Egypt. It goes to Jordan, Saudi Arabia. Even Iran was involved in this process. This is huge in the world.
I was watching the Sunday morning talk shows, and the president of Egypt said, and through the foreign ministry said, that they're going to send troops to the border on both sides as well. It looks like they're going to put a complete border up. I agree with this. I mean, if you look at North and South Korea, the DMZ there, same situation. If you can do that in Gaza, make a very definitive, this is the border, here's where it's at, here's no crossing, stay on your side, you have a country now, good luck. I think that might work out for if the Arab world puts in their troops, Israel puts in their troops, the U.S., then they have a border there, and I think you could have peace.
And guess who joins this whole process today is the UN guy in charge, right? And you put the UN in there now, and now you've got a global peace here, and this is positive for investing. We have talked geopolitics for the last 2.5-3 years now,
right?
And now you get Zelensky coming. Zelensky, he's got 2 black eyes and a bloody nose right now from Russia.
Over the last all the dead people over there. I mean, I tell you, the deaths on both sides has been atrocious here, Steve.
Atrocious, yeah. So a positive would be peace. It's a big positive for Europe and Germany that's trying to break out. If you just take what Draghi, the former ECB chief, recently said, that Europe, you're dragging your heels. You're going into oblivion here. So there's a lot of positives.
Wow, okay, let's back up. Mario Draghi. There's a name I haven't heard in a while. Is he really relevant?
Absolutely. Former Prime Minister of Italy, former ECB head. A lot of political clout.
But now is he important?
Well, he commands a lot of respect because the comments that he's been making, he was authorized to write this paper for the European Union, right? The political part of Europe. And it was a year ago where it came out and stated all the things Europe needs to do. 1 year later, they've done nothing.
Right.
And now Europe, I mean, come on, Europe has got a heartbeat, a barely heartbeat at like 0.2 to 0.5% growth. This is not sustainable in Europe, and they're falling further behind in the technology race. So, you know, his points are very valid, and they're falling on people's ears that are listening.
They are listening to what you're saying. All right,
Yes.
Steve Flanagan, I will see you back here on Wednesday. I don't want to keep you. I got to run myself, but always appreciate it. If anybody here out there was not listening to Steve Flanagan, you missed it. He told you about the dollar. He told you to get involved. Told you to go long, and here he's right. And Steve, we're right now at 99.29 right now on the Dixie. So congratulations, man, you killed it.
Thanks, Steve. And we'll watch very carefully. The 126, that's going to be resistance. Expect selling as we get up close to 100. But I'll see you back on Wednesday, Steve. Have a great week.
Love you, man. Later.